morning, strugglers. Here we are again. It is good morning this time. It is the morning. It's a Thursday morning. It's been 2 days since my last vlog. I keep meaning to do daily vlogs, but just life, daily life, family life. Volunteering, job searching, all gets in the way. It's been an interesting 2 days. A lot's gone on. I was at my work programme providers on Tuesday, which was very interesting because it looks like they might be winding up and leaving, which in one sense is a good thing because there are and have been significant issues with the way the manager of this particular programme treats particularly vulnerable referrals, clients, which I've seen firsthand myself and received more more evidence about from the people that work there. But then, what are they going to be replaced with? Is it better the devil you know or the devil you don't? So that's a big question mark for the coming months. I've had so much going on. I had my second council meeting yesterday night, where I think made a bit of an impression, in a good way, I hope. What else? Just so much stuff. I can't remember. But today, I wanted to talk about what's become a big issue for me and the local People's Assembly group which I belong to. I'm one of their chief campaigners, basically, out on the street, and it's something called public space protection orders. Now we have one which has recently started in our town centre here, and the point of public space protection orders, which you may very well have where you are, is that they're used by councils the point of legislation is to try and combat antisocial issues, particularly in business areas, I suppose, so town centres, things like that. If you read the legislation, if you actually read the act, which I have, it's quite clear that it's written or designed as a sort of rather than written to tackle antisocial behaviour, it's just as much written as a sort of a revenue-making the project for private security firms, really. Because of course what happens in reality is, and this is my issue with it, and I'll lead on to what it does in reality out on the street. But my worry about it has always been that, of course, if you're going to create legislation to tackle antisocial behaviour, which is legislated for in secondary legislation, and you're then going to use that legislation, or it's designed to pay a private security company, along with the police obviously can use the powers too, but it's mostly a private security company because the police just don't have the time or resources to deal with what is deemed to be low-level crime or breaches of the law, which is sort of people drinking in public or whatever, because there's not enough of them to do that. It's left to privately hired security companies, who of course make their money by issuing fixed penalty notices, mostly to the easiest targets they can find, which is going to be people sleeping rough, homeless people. Easy target. Easy target. They're there. There's more and more homeless people everywhere because of what's happened with the Tories for the past 7 years. Could happen to anybody, could happen to me. like that. Just needs a small change of circumstance. I know this from being an advisor at the CAB. You just have to get ill, you lose your job, you got to pay your mortgage, you have a breakup with your spouse, divorce, depression. It's all very easy, before you know it, you're out on the street. No one, or very few people choose to be homeless, But I digress. Clearly, they go for the softest targets. That was always been my worry and the worry of our local People's Assembly. So I wrote a petition quite a while ago about this, which we haven't actually rolled out yet, but I'm hoping we will be very soon. So yesterday, when I was out and about doing some housekeeping and posting and things like that at the post office, I was on my way back from town to here, home, and I saw a guy sitting on the floor with a sleeping bag, obviously sleeping rough. And I walked past. He didn't say a word to me, but as I always do, I said, hello, how are you? Okay? Stay safe, basically. And the guy sort of looked up and said hello, thanks a lot. I walked on, but I noticed out the corner of my eye, on the opposite side of the street, one of these guys that enforces these PSPOs, who is hired by a security company. I noticed that actually their security, it says environmental enforcement on there, on the t-shirt, but I noticed they've got the security company name here, but also the council's moniker here, to make them look more official, basically. And I could see he was looking at this guy, and I could see he was writing up something, so I thought he's going to pounce on him. And I thought, well, I've got my hunches about how this works, which are largely based on the fact that we have a lot of, increasing amount of people sleeping rough in the town centre, who obviously been made homeless, who have all of a sudden, now that the summer season started, disappeared. So my hunch was they're being told to get lost, basically, by these guys. But again, don't forget, the purpose of this legislation is to tackle antisocial behaviour. Being homeless and sitting in the street, for me, does not constitute antisocial behaviour. Begging, yes. Legally, yes. Morally, I don't know, but legally, yes. Obviously, being drunk in public, obviously, yes. Causing issues. But just sitting there, mind your own business, not asking people for money, just mind your own business, that is not antisocial behaviour. And my fear was that because they're easy targets, they were being targeted, given fixed penalty notices, being told to pay or go to court, which of course they can't get to. The nearest court here is miles away. There's no way they could afford to get there, because they have no money. And my fears were borne out yesterday. I stood there, right next to the unfolding scene, listened to exactly what this, we'll call himself an officer of the council, wearing a chest-mounted camera, so recording all of this, obviously, for calls or if needed. And the guy protested. He said, I wasn't asking for money, I wasn't begging, because that's what he was being accused of. He was being given a fixed penalty notice for begging. Well, as I just said, I walked past him, didn't ask me for anything, didn't say a word to me. I said, me that said hello to him. So surely if he was begging, he would have asked me for something. What happened according to the homeless guy was that someone had gone before I got there, walked past and given him money. He hadn't asked for it. Someone had just offered and given him money. I believe him. Why wouldn't I? Got no reason not to believe him. No reason to think he's a liar just because he's homeless. This is the sort of problems. If you've got prejudice, this is the sort of problems you get into. But the guy said, well, if it doesn't matter. He's offered it, you've taken it. You're begging, you've broken the law as far as the Public Space Protection Act 2014 is concerned, so that's what I'm charging you with. Actually cautioned him, spoke to him pretty badly. The guy was very calmly protesting his innocence, very calmly actually, much more calmly than I would have. Was cooperating better than I would have, to be honest, in the circumstances. And obviously was being told to piss off. And then the guy changed his tack, and there was handed out the penalty notice, and said, "Oh well, okay, man, but you can't sit here in front of shops that are open." Well, he wasn't. He was sitting next to a bank, but not by the main door. He was sort of further along, actually, at the end where the bank finishes and another shop starts. But it's not a shop; it's a closed unit. So he was basically sitting in probably the best place he could not to be in the direct eye line of most people passing. So I sit there, I've listened to it all, wanted to know what they were being charged with, which act. I have a law degree, you see. I somehow put myself as an adult student through a law degree 4 years ago, which was almost bloody impossible because I had no money. Then that was a struggle, to put it mildly. So I'm used to reading legislation and interpreting it, and it just didn't sound right to me. What he was doing did not sound right, and confirmed all of my fears. So yeah, that's something I'm going to be bringing up. Just because someone's homeless doesn't mean they're not or shouldn't be under our protection as fellow citizens, let alone as councillors. I handed the guy, as he was walking off, the homeless guy, one of my cards, told him I was a councillor, and if he sees me about, because I saw him later that day actually, contact me, and if he needs help, leave my details and contact me and all sort of stuff, And he sort of walked off after the chat, sort of happy, and he said, "I can't pay it, so I'm not going to pay it." And that was that really. So it is something that I'm going to be concentrating on now with our campaigning, concentrating on in the town council in the future, about our responsibilities to our homeless brothers and sisters, and that they are still they're still our residents in most senses, maybe not in a technical sense, but they're still our residents. They're still human beings. They're still like you and me. And like I say, it could be any of us. Could be our children. Could be children, grandchildren. No one wakes up in the morning and thinks, "Oh, I'll go and sleep in the streets now. No money." Who does that? It doesn't happen. So yeah, if you've got PSPOs enforced near you, you may well have, and see if, like here, it's being used as an excuse to just get homeless people out of sight in your town centre, which of course is completely wrong and possibly contravenes human rights law, because obviously everyone has a right to, live, and if they're not causing issues for other people, then I don't see the problem. Why make their lives even worse, more difficult? I just don't see the issue, but that's just me. I'm sure there'll be lots of people who completely disagree, and I meet them every week who treat homeless people or view homeless people as sort of vermin, unfortunately. My worry is that many of them are decision makers in power. So yeah, I'll be fighting PSPOs, or at least making sure that trying to make sure that they're actually enforced in the spirit that they're supposed to be used, and not just to hit homeless people to tidy up and clean up the sort of scenery in the town centre, or as a revenue stream for private security firms. So that's part of their struggle, part of my struggle, maybe part of your struggle. So for now, oh no, there's one more thing. I finally started at last finally managed to start my street corner surgeries, which I did day before yesterday in the morning. I met tons and tons, so many parents taking their kids to one of the local schools. Spoke to so many, had a great chat. So the hour long surgery on the street corner turned into about 2 hours, which nearly made me late for the work program provider. But it was all worth it, you know. I think a lot of people initially be standing there with my sign and always thought I was some sort of nutcase, but so I explained what I was doing there and who I was. There was lots of smiles and chatting, and so that was great. Yeah, so more of that going on. But yeah, for now, ciao, and have a lovely day.